responded from the Mississippi State loss?
I think we responded well. I think it's been a long time since we lost 2 back-to-back games. So getting back in here was about kind of getting back to the basics. It's a fine line when you go into the tournament with preparing for your opponent and also doing what you do and getting better at what you do as a team, especially this late in the year. So that was something that we wanted to emphasize in practice, especially with us not knowing our opponent when we practiced on Sunday. It was just kind of about getting back to us, kind of having a practice that was reminiscent of a game, like Coach told you guys, and we went at it. It was good. I felt like the guys' energy and their focus was really good.
Coach, the State was able to force the issue, get the ball inside. Talk about the emphasis on protecting that area, not just for this game, but moving forward throughout the tournament.
Yeah, you can't let anybody have 40 points in the paint. I'm pretty sure that was, to us, our worst defensive performance of the year. I'd rather a team make 15 threes than score that many points in the paint. And I think all of us as a coaching staff can all kind of chime the same thing and echo. I think we've got to be better in that area, and we will. We will. That was one of those games where we just didn't do a great job, and we got really spread out. Everyone was worried about getting driven, so they kind of got nailed to their guy a little bit, and we didn't stay in our gaps like we normally do. So it's, again, refocus. You get back to doing what we do, have to do it at a high level, have to do it at the level that we've shown that we can throughout the year, and get back to that and doing it when it matters the most, which is right now in March.
Coach, the initial scouting, what can you tell us about St. Peter's?
Really good team, scrappy team, defensively really good. They fly around, very handsy, want to get after the ball. Obviously they have a lot of guys that play defense like Zakai Ziegler, so that's the area he's from, obviously. So it's going to be a challenge for us and making sure that we do a good job of playing to the rim, playing through contact, moving the ball, doing what we do offensively, getting the ball up the floor, taking our open shots when they do dive and raking those gaps, things like that. But offensively, we'll make the adjustment we need to. Defensively, we've got to make sure that we guard the drive. They're a team that can drive and kick and they can make some shots, but they want to get to the rim. They have guards that can play. They can play basketball. So we got to do a good job and make sure that defense first has to be our mentality going into all these games. Because, when you go around tournament time, any given night, some guys can be stagnant offensively and not make some shots. It's different referees than you're used to. It's a different style of play that you're playing against versus the last, however many regular season games. So it's about kind of being prepared for anything and making sure that your defense travels.
Coach, from a preparation standpoint, like once that bracket drops at 625, what does it look like from scrambling to assign, gather information on all those teams, using the support staff, the GAs? What's that process?
As a staff, as soon as the matchup is dropped, you have your hooray moment. You're excited. You made the tournament. Happy for you guys. And then it's time to go. It's time to get to work. It's time to prepare. It's time to figure out how we're going to beat these guys. And I'm pretty sure it was like that for every team in the country. You start trying to gather scouting reports, calling other guys from other leagues and trying to see what information they have. And, you make the tournament, and obviously I call a few guys that I know from other leagues and try to get information. And you get on the phone and nobody sounds happy. And it's not because they're not happy, it's just because they're focused. So it's no different here than it is anywhere else. It's like the switch goes on when you want to start preparing for what's to come. And you have a limited amount of days. So a team that you've never seen probably, never watched all year, you have to start preparing for them like it's your last game. So.
How you balance having that intensity and locked-in nature while also trying to keep the guys loose and not making it more than it is?
Yeah, you make sure that you stress to them how hard it is to get to this point and to not take it for granted. We have a locker room that has won a lot of games over the last years, right? We got a lot of guys that you would classify as winners. So certain things they don't celebrate as much as they probably should. And we try to make sure that we kind of keep the balance of that. Like, be happy for yourselves. You guys got to a point. Coach said it, in the team meeting the other day. Like, you guys should be proud of yourselves. It's really hard to get to this tournament. It's really hard to get here as many years straight as you guys have. But, now it's time to get a job done. And, do you want more? Which is the question that we've asked since we won a regular season title. Do you want more, or are you satisfied with what you have? And I think our guys want more. I'm pretty sure they do.
Coach, talk about Zakai getting to see his brother, and he's on the other team and all that, and what's the conversation been like in the locker room about that matchup?
Yeah, no, it was funny because, you know, the guys before the draw was happening literally were talking about, man, what if we get St. Peter's, what if we get St. Peter's? Because, you know, a lot of our locker room knows Monty because on Zakai's visit, Armani came down. He was here on a visit. He was here late in the summer. So Monty comes down a lot, man. Monty is, I love Monty. I actually watched him during the summer after Zakai was already here. And, you know, Monty's like a little brother to all of us. So the fact that we're going to see him is fun. To be honest, the fact that we're going to see him is, you know, it's great and it feels like family. But for those 40 minutes, I'm going to hate Armani Ziegler. And I think everybody on our team will. But no, yeah, we love Monty. It's a great storyline. Obviously, Zakai getting able to play against his brother. I talked to a lot of Zakai's family. They're all super excited, happy. It's a beautiful moment for them because obviously they're seeing their boys in a place where they didn't really expect them to be years ago. So it's going to be a special moment. It's going to be fun.
Is there any similarities between this program and the 2022 team, even though I know there's been a ton of turnover?
Yeah, different coach, different staff, obviously different personnel. I would say the gritty, up-in-your-face style of play that they played before is the same. It's the same. This team is a little less talented offensively than that last group was, but defensively they're still physical. They're still really handsy. They try to get after you. They're going to be very reminiscent of that last team. So, you know, while playing St. Peter's, you know, you don't go into this game like, hey, you're playing the 15th seed. You know, you're playing St. Peter's, who actually 2 years ago beat Kentucky in the same round, right? So there's no, you know, we're going in and, you know, we just gotta. No, this is a huge game for us. This is a lot of attention to detail is going to be put into play. Guys have to be locked in on the scouting report, and we have to go into this game understanding that if we don't go in understanding the urgency that we have to have in this game, this could be the last game that we play.
What do we just have to do to be stronger down low, unlike Mississippi State, where they kind of look like they're
You said what? Say it one more time.
To be stronger in the post.
It's will, man. It's will. That's all it is will. You have to want to hold your ground down there. You know, we threw J.P. Estrella in the game, laid down the stretch against Mississippi State, and we felt like he did the best job in post defense. And while that's a bright spot, and you know that's great that J.P. was good defensively, but he's a freshman. He's not supposed to be better than our senior and our junior down there, or I'm sorry, our senior and our sophomore down there. So in film, we were very direct with them. You know, in order for us to win, in order for us to keep going and go down the stretch, they have to be better. You know, and when I say they, speaking of Jonas and Tobey, they have to be better. And you know, I talked to I talked to Tobey on the phone last night. We had that conversation. Coaches talked to Jonas. We showed those guys film. So, you know, it's nothing to hide or run from. We're not going to act like we've been stellar guarding down there in the post. Like, we have to get better. And there's no better time to get better at that than right now. So, you know, schematically and game plan-wise, we'll do some different things and look at some things that we have to do. But when it comes down to it, it's just the willpower that they want to have to guard down there.
Coach, you guys have so many guys, Zakai, Josiah, Jonas, who have been through this before, been in this situation. Where does that show up the most at this time of year on the court, you think, that experience?
You know, I would say the first 4 minutes of the game and the last 8 minutes of the game, to me. That's where it shows up, is your level of urgency, your attention to detail, your understanding of the moment. You know, you don't understand the moment playing in the NCAA tournament unless you've been in the moment. It's hard to understand it, right, just from watching it on TV. So that's going to be something that even a guy as good as Dalton Connect is going to have to lean on. Someone like Jordan Gainey is going to have to lean on. Thinking of it, I think those are of the top 8 guys that play, those are the only 2 that haven't been to the tournament. Yeah, those are the only 2. So the experience has to kick in, you know. You look at Zakai Ziegler, he didn't get to play in this tournament last year. So he's extremely excited about this opportunity. The last time he was in the tournament, we lost in the round of 32, so he's hungry. Obviously, he feels like he's better. He's able to lead better than he was at that time, being a freshman. So the experience has to kick in. These guys, you know, have to understand the moment more than anyone, and they have to lead. And you have to be able to look in their eyes and know that they know what to do down the stretch.
How nice is it knowing that you had Zakai this tournament, whereas this time last year y'all were kind of, all right, who's bringing the ball down the floor this possession and so on and so forth.
No, it's huge. You last year going into the tournament without Zakai was like, man, hey, let's just hope. Let's hope. Now it's, okay, we know. We feel like Zakai is, you know, one of the best point guards in the country, if not the best. So we're excited for him because we know it's another opportunity for him to get out there on the biggest stage, which is the moments that he lives for. Having him is definitely welcome, whether it is for our defense or our offense, but making sure that he's able to be a calming presence on the floor during the biggest moments is exciting for us. We're excited to have him out there. I'm happy for him, obviously, because he was missing this tournament last year, and we knew how bad he wanted to play. But it's gonna be great to have him back.
Tape do you scour?
Last one for Rod.
What tape do you scour through to watch his games? Is it against Power 6 opponents, or is it all of it, or just the most recent games? Where do you go to when you cut this up?
So, you know, you have to, as a coach, you have to think about it in this aspect. Like, we could watch their Power 6 games, right, from early in the year, from their 5th or 6th game of the season. Chances are they're a completely different team than that, right? You watch kind of their conference tournament, you watch some things that you saw from early in the season against those Power 6 teams, but you have to have an understanding that, you know, some of the things you might see them struggle with, they've probably gotten better at throughout the course of the year. And however they're playing in the tournament, I mean, St. Peter's in the conference tournament was a 5th seed, right? They were, yeah, it was something like a 5th seed. They finished 5th in their league. So obviously they're playing different right now than they had played through the course of the year. You know, guys in March, they get hot, they go on streaks, they go on runs, kind of like the last team did with Shaheen. And, you know, that you can scout all you want, and you can't simulate what they're going to bring to you, all right? You have to look, and you have to study, and you have to have your game plan, but you got to understand that, like, some guy that probably wasn't making a ton of threes back in November is probably shooting lights out right now. He's gotten hot, which has probably helped them to get to this point, right? Guys are guarding different than they ever have because the moment is so big and they've been waiting on this. How many guys signed to St. Peter's and expect to go to the NCAA tournament? You know what I mean? Like, it's really hard. I've coached in mid-major leagues. It's really hard. You almost, like, don't care about the regular season because you want to win the tournament because you know that's the only way you can get in. There's guys that win 30 games that don't get to the NCAA tournament because they didn't win their conference tournament in mid-major leagues, right? So, you know, you check out some of those numbers and what they've done in the past, but you also have to understand what they're doing right now and what makes them good right now, because that's the version that we're going to get.
Thanks, Rod.
Thanks,
No
Coach.
problem.